Marcus and Keisha Williams went fishing one weekend and never came back. For 7 years, everyone thought they drowned. Then their emergency device started beeping from the middle of the ocean, hundreds of miles away. What police found next changed everything. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm about to tell you a story that's going to blow your mind. If you like mysteries that make you question everything, hit that subscribe button right now, because this case is absolutely insane. So picture this. You have two young people, Marcus and Keisha Williams, brother and sister from South Carolina. Marcus was 24, studying ocean science in college. Keisha was 21, studying law. But they weren't just regular college kids. They were fighters. See, their family had lived in Beaufort, South Carolina for generations. It's this beautiful coastal town where black families have been fishing and living off the water for hundreds of years. But rich white developers kept trying to push them out, take their land, destroy their way of life. Marcus and Keisha weren't having it. They started going out on the water, not just to fish, but to gather evidence. They had cameras, water testing equipment, legal documents. They were building a case to protect their community. But Marcus started acting weird in the weeks before they disappeared. Paranoid, he told friends he was gathering evidence that would change everything. He started using different phones, encrypting his files. Something had him scared. June 15, 2016, a Friday. Marcus and Keisha loaded up their boat for what was supposed to be a 3-day fishing trip. Their dad, Reverend David Williams, a well-known civil rights leader, made them take a satellite emergency beacon. You know, one of those devices that sends out SOS signals if something goes wrong. Y'all be careful out there, he told them. These waters hold secrets. They headed out to the ACE Basin, this pristine area where their ancestors had fished for generations. They were planning to camp on a small island and do their research. Their last social media post showed Keisha holding up a fish, both of them smiling. The caption said, "Finding more than we bargained for out here." Sunday evening, 6 p.m. Their dad waited at the boat dock. Marcus was never late, ever. By 8 p.m., panic set in. The Coast Guard found their boat the next morning, drifting empty in the ocean, engines still running, fuel almost gone. But here's the weird part. The boat was perfect. No damage, no blood, no signs of a fight. Their phones and wallets were still there, but all of Marcus's expensive scientific equipment, gone. The boat's GPS showed they visited 3 places that last day. 2 were normal fishing spots. The third made no sense. It was near Pinckney Island, right next to a restricted area owned by something called Meridian Chemical Solutions. Now here's where the story gets dark. The search was huge. Coast Guard helicopters, hundreds of volunteer boats from their community. But the investigation? That was weird from day one. Detective Ray Garrison was in charge. Right away, he said it was just an accident. Young people take risks, he told reporters. The ocean is dangerous. But the family knew better. Marcus and Keisha were expert swimmers, experienced boaters. They had that emergency beacon. They wouldn't just vanish. 3 days into the search, this old white fisherman named Captain Tom Reeves pulled Reverend Williams aside. What he said changed everything. "I've seen things out there near that chemical plant," Reeves whispered. "Things that shouldn't be happening. Your boy Marcus was asking questions about it." Reeves told him that Meridian Chemical Solutions was dumping stuff in the water at night. Unmarked boats, security patrols, substances being poured into the ocean under cover of darkness. Your kids were documenting it. Reeves said, "Marcus showed me photos, said he was building a case." When Reverend Williams brought this to Detective Garrison, the response was immediate. "We can't investigate a legitimate company based on rumors." But here's what Garrison didn't mention. His brother-in-law was head of security at Meridian Chemical Solutions. The community knew something was wrong. Marcus's grandmother, Miss Ruby Williams, organized prayer meetings that turned into strategy sessions. They started their own investigation, and what they found was terrifying. Dr. Patricia Jenkins, a marine biologist and family friend, revealed that Marcus had sent her water samples 2 weeks before he disappeared. The contamination levels were off the charts. When she tried to publish her findings, she was suddenly fired and her research funding cut. Someone didn't want that information public, she said. Marcus was onto something huge. But the family's fight for answers hit wall after wall. Every request for more searches was denied. When they hired a private investigator, Garrison threatened him with criminal charges. Then evidence started disappearing. The boat's GPS data? Corrupted. Witness statements from fishermen? Unreliable. Coast Guard sonar data? Routinely deleted. Marcus's research from college was suddenly declared classified and sealed away from the family. It was like someone was erasing every trace of what the siblings had discovered. Meanwhile, something interesting was happening to Meridian Chemical Solutions. In the 2 years after Marcus and Keisha disappeared, the company exploded in size. New facilities, double the workers, massive profits. And the waters? They got worse. Fish started dying. Families who'd been fishing there for generations couldn't catch anything. But anyone who complained got sued or threatened. For 7 long years, Reverend Williams fought for the truth. He watched the chemical plant's boats, documented their movements, built a network of informants. He was convinced his children had been murdered to protect corporate secrets. But without bodies, without concrete evidence, there was nothing he could do. The case was officially closed. Accidental drowning. Case dismissed. The truth seemed buried forever. But the ocean has a way of giving up its secrets. June 23rd, 2023, 3:42 in the morning. An alert flashed on computer screens at an emergency response center in Maryland. A satellite beacon was transmitting an SOS signal from the Atlantic Ocean. The technician looked at the registration information and nearly fell out of his chair. The beacon belonged to Marcus and Keisha Williams, missing for 7 years. But the location made no sense. The signal was coming from 400 miles offshore, in water over 8,000 feet deep, an area called the Charleston Bump. Coast Guard boats raced to the coordinates. They found nothing on the surface, but their analysis revealed something impossible. The beacon had activated underwater at massive depth, then somehow broke free and floated up the transmitted signal. Here's the kicker. Ocean current experts said there was no way that beacon could have drifted to that location naturally. Someone had taken it there by boat and dumped it in the deep ocean. The FBI took over the case. Special Agent Patricia Reeves, whose father was that fisherman who tried to help the family 7 years earlier, started digging into maritime traffic records. And guess what she found? Meridian Chemical Solutions boats regularly traveled through that exact area where the beacon was found. Armed with federal power and new technology, Agent Reeves started tearing apart the cover-up. Satellite images revealed Marcus and Keisha's final campsite on a barrier island that had been accidentally left out of the original search. Forensic teams found camping gear buried in sand, signs of a struggle, and traces of industrial chemicals that matched Meridian's compounds. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Remember Dr. Patricia Jenkins, the scientist who got fired? She'd secretly kept Marcus's water samples and research. New testing revealed something shocking. The chemicals weren't just waste. They were evidence of illegal drug testing in American waters. Then Tommy Morrison came forward, former security supervisor at Meridian, dying of cancer, ready to tell the truth. According to Morrison, Marcus and Keisha were captured alive while photographing the illegal dumping. They were taken to a secret facility where company executives made a cold calculation. The siblings' evidence threatened a billion-dollar operation. Morrison's testimony was devastating. He described how the young activists were held for 3 days while executives decided their fate. In the end, they were murdered and their bodies dumped at sea. Their boat was staged to look like an accident. The emergency beacon was kept as insurance, locked away in a company's safe for 7 years. In September 2023, federal agents arrested Meridian CEO Richard Blackwood and 6 others on charges of murder, conspiracy, and environmental crimes. Detective Garrison was charged with taking bribes and obstruction of justice. The trial was a media sensation. Prosecutors presented satellite imagery, financial records, and Morrison's insider testimony. Defense lawyers claimed it was all about protecting legitimate business. But then prosecutors played recordings from Blackwood's personal files, cold-blooded discussions about eliminating the problem posed by the Williams siblings. The jury took less than 4 hours to convict. Blackwood got life in prison. His accomplices got 25 years to life. Garrison got 15 years. Using Morrison's information and deep-sea technology, the remains of Marcus and Keisha Williams were finally found in December 2023 in an underwater grave 400 miles from where they'd been killed. Their funeral drew thousands to Beaufort. Civil rights leaders, environmental activists, federal officials. Miss Ruby Williams, now 85, gave a eulogy that brought everyone to tears. These children died seeking the truth. Their truth will live forever. Meridian Chemical Solutions was shut down permanently. The Gullah Geechee community got federal protection for their fishing grounds, and investigations continue into similar operations across the Southeast. But here's the most incredible part of this whole story. That satellite beacon, sitting in the dark depths of the ocean for 7 years, ultimately delivered the message Marcus and Keisha died trying to send. Sometimes the truth rises from the deepest, darkest places to demand justice. What do you think? Have you ever seen corporations cover up crimes in your community? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more cases where technology solved impossible mysteries, make sure you're subscribed because next week, I'm covering a murder that was solved by a victim's smartwatch, and the evidence will shock you.